many tires.
I'm just gonna start piling up so you can take a photo and be like, this is what happens when we do tire videos.
Y'all stay tuned, we got a lot coming for you.
I wanna be very, very clear on chicken strips. Man, I love me a chicken strip. You can look at me and know I like me some chicken strips.
All work, no pleasure. I ain't here to make friends, big stepper. Hey, bad guy, Heath Ledger. Getting fed up, nothing you can tell us.
What's up, guys? It's your boy FastLaneD, and today we are here at Tampa Bay Motos, and we've actually got a different style of video coming at you guys today. I want to start doing like more informational type videos, so we grabbed, you guys already know, the legend right here, Chris himself. He is the parts manager here at the store. Yeah, and tell him your history and your background.
I've been riding for like 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm a track instructor. You know, I just go fast. I eat up tires, and I know a thing or two about parts.
There we go. And we're gonna be talking tires today. Everything you need to know about track, race, and then street. I don't know how we're gonna classify that, but
We'll work it out.
Yeah.
We'll make everything really clear.
I like that sound.
It's a good noise, man.
It is.
It's grip.
Fresh rubber, yeah, and grip.
That is the noise of grip.
Yeah, tell us what we got here.
All right, guys. General selection, right? Road 6, Dunlop Q5S, and a Pirelli. I think this is an SC3? SC2. We're gonna go into compounds here a little bit today. We're gonna go into what we're picking, why we're picking, what the difference is between them, what your expected life out of them is, and why we choose tires the way we do. Why I choose my tires, why Dylan chooses his tires, which is usually cost effectiveness.
Balling on a budget, man.
Balling on a budget,
Yeah.
but we all are, right?
Yeah.
And we spec the tire to do that. So let's lose the slicks for now, right? Let's go to what most of you guys should be running on the street. I want to be super, 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 super clear about what I say. None of us are Valentino Rossi.
Tell them.
None of us should be out there on the street dragging knee, doing stupid crap. We shouldn't be, right? We all have to accept our risk of riding a motorcycle. We all have to abide by traffic laws. We're motorcyclists. We're out there to be free. We're out there to have fun. But there needs to be a limitation on what we do so we can continue riding. I've been riding for 15 years now. I've had my incidents. I've had my fun. I have crashed on the street. I have crashed on the track. I've never been hit by a car, thank God. But that's all because of the way I ride. I still have my fun. I still throw the wheel up. I back it into corners. But we have to understand and respect what we ride and why we ride, right? If we're gonna cut our life short doing stupid crap, you're not gonna get to enjoy it for nearly as long. Or you're gonna be crippled, you're gonna be super damaged. That's not cool, right? We wanna all ride together forever. And that's just what we gotta do, man. Gotta slow it down.
Chris is gonna go into the real reason why you guys clicked on this video and the tire talk. So
Yeah.
what do we got here?
We're gonna break it down. All right, so to start, Michelin Road 6. This is considered a sport touring tire. Now most of you goes, I'm riding a double R, I don't need sport touring tire. But why not? These things have the best grip in their wet. If you live in Florida, 4 o'clock every summer, it's gonna rain. Now, they make two different versions of the Road 6. They make a regular Road 6 and then a GT, okay? GTs are gonna be for your heavier bikes, right? Your Ninja 1000s, your ZX14s even. Anything you're gonna do any kind of touring on with luggage or a passenger. So one thing with Michelin's, especially between these two tires, the sidewall deflection, right? See how easy that is to pull up? And how the GTs are much stiffer.
Oh.
The GT can hold more weight because the sidewall is more reinforced. There's less deflection, right? Deflection is the force in which we measure how much a tire moves under us, okay? That's deflection. So when we talk about the differences within these tires, right? You have an R6, right? It runs a 180/55/17 rear. This is a 180/55/17 rear. This tire on your bike is going to get crazy good mileage at a higher cost. They are more expensive tires, but the longevity you get out of them, the grip you get out of them, is gonna be more than suitable for any reasonable street riding. Reasonable street riding. I can wear out a Road 6 rear in like 3,500 miles. I've done it. We gauge that longevity by how much we use the throttle. But the thing that really makes Road 6s amazing are all these sipes. Okay, you see the bigger sipes, the smaller sipes, how far it goes out to the edge of the tires. So in the wet, right, as water is splashing onto this tire and through puddles, the water comes in, water goes out, it tracks through these little holes here, through the divots and out. It moves water away from the grip so you can actually stick to the road. Front tire is exactly the same.
Yeah, holy shit. I would 100% be really comfortable on these in the rain, bro. All the siping on these.
They were my go-to DOT wet tire for track.
Yeah.
If it was gonna rain, I'd bring a set of these, and they were just fine.
It's insane, all the siping on there.
Another point, right? With these tires, the number one thing we see is pressure mismanagement. So because this is a dual compound set of tires, right? So you have a harder compound in the middle with softer compounds on the outside. If you run your pressures incorrectly, typically too low, you're going to get an inconsistency in wear. And that's going to be called scalloping, or there's other terms. Scalloping is kind of what I use because it's divots, you know, within that edge of the tire. What we want to shoot for is to not see that, right? Proper pressures means you're going to wear this entire groove pattern completely away on its own, kind of like in your car, right? If your alignment's off,
yeah,
same deal. Bike alignment's kind of hard to screw up unless you're really bad at mounting and dismounting tires, but it matters. The other thing is directional pattern, right? So when we mount these tires, they're gonna have an arrow on it. So the most common thing I see people ask about is when their Road 6s are mounted to their bike, the front tire looks like it's backwards. Well, if you were gauging it by the direction of the sipes, it would be by design. That's how Michelin designed it. Because what the front tire is doing, it is moving water away from the rear tire.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if your sipes are in the wrong direction, it's not going to work as well. If you mix and match tires, your rain siping is not going to be effective. There's other reasons why you shouldn't run mixed match tires, but we'll get into that. So that's the big thing, okay? So that's the Michelin Road 6. Great longevity of a tire. Genuinely the best road tire you can get. I really couldn't recommend better for the average commuter. Right? If you're commuting, this is a tire to jump to immediately. The Dunlop Road Smart 4 is another good alternative to this, another high silica compound tire. We're gonna get into this compounds here in a minute. But this is a phenomenal set. I can't recommend Road 6s more. I always have them in stock. They're always the way to go if you're unsure of what you should get.
Side note, this is also not a sponsored video. This is just Chris giving his genuinely honest opinion from his years of experience of riding and everything.
This is unfiltered, Chris.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna call you out if you do something stupid.
So, but if anyone wants to sponsor a tire video for Chris and I, or his racing or anything like that, feel free to reach out.
Michelin Power 6. So we talked about the Road 6s. This is the next step towards grip, we'll say. This is a hyper sport tire. It's what we call it, a hyper sport tire. 100% street is what Michelin calls it. It is a street-oriented tire, which is why we're gonna break down what Dylan said earlier on, race, track, and road.
Yeah.
It's a muddled mess because you can run anything on track.
That's true.
I mean, we take GSs out with knobbies.
That's crazy.
They drone as hell, man, they
crazy.
fun. So Power 6s, this is the updated version for the Power 5. Genuinely a good tire, right? The siping pattern this year for the Power 6s is brand new. So these elongated sipes are very, very new to the Michelin line. If you kind of look at them, they're sort of similar, but they're not. So they do have some chamfer here at the sipes, where it's a wider and then it gets narrower. And that's because when the tire flexes, we want to keep the opening of the sipe as big as possible for it to work effectively. You'll see this dimpling pattern on the side. There is no strategic effect other than design on that, just in case people are wondering. The big thing with Michelin's is, again, this super flexible sidewall. Okay. Now, if you even look on the inside, you see this kind of speckled pattern almost. Mm-hmm. This is how they lay their band of wire in the tire. This is a direct casting of that. So they call it an X radial, and it's literally just a radial tire with bands crisscrossing all over it to make up the shape of the tire. The other thing is, look at the profile, right? Look at the steeped profile. Now this is unmounted to a rim. When you put it on a 6-inch rim, it's gonna flatten out a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's gonna bulk up a little bit, but it's a pretty tall tire. It's a 255. ZR17, your common sport bike sizes for your double Rs, your Ducatis, things like that. This tire, considering it's a 100% street tire, this is going to get you the most bang for the buck in longevity for a sport bike, for sportier riding. You're not sacrificing anything. And we're gonna go into the reasons that you start sacrificing some things when we talk about tire choices. The big thing with Power 6s is if you are not a commuter, a weekend rider, we'll say, this is great. You're gonna get 4,000 to 7,000 out of a rear. We should always be doing about 2 rears to a front. Okay, and that's kind of the general consensus. Now, it's not always true. My double R, I do a set at a time. The front tire usually wears out further than I want to take it, right? We have our acceptable level of tire wear for our own riding abilities and sometimes our wallet. But this was the first sport tire that Michelin brought out a dual compound front. So you can kind of see this deviation in color where you have a harder compound up top. And this deviation in color, it's about to the second sight here, is where it goes into a softer compound. And that softer compound is more grip. The more leaned over you get the bike, the more grip you want. I've always learned through YCRS and Chris, Easy, Chip, if you guys are listening. I hope some people take the advice you guys preach all the time. But we only have 100 points of grip to work with. This tire allows you to use more points as long as you are smooth on the throttle and the brakes, right? But these tires will wear very well. They do work very well in the wet, but not as good as a Road 6. They have less siping. That's something to consider. If you get caught in the rain all the time, you need to consider, something different, right? If you live in a tropical environment like Florida, just put a Road 6 on and leave it. But these do go up to a 200. Those Road 6s do only go up to a 190/55. So that might limit some of your choices on that as well. They did this like suede here.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
It's so pretty. I'm so happy beautiful. They did this. It's just a pretty sick design.
Yeah.
That little checker patterning.
That is badass.
Michelin obviously being the MotoGP tire sponsor. We get these little cool effects.
That's cool.
Right, and that's the thing Michelin does, right? They sponsor the MotoGP guys. They build their tires and pass that to the consumer level. Us, we're consumers. And then we get to work with that. We get to use it. It's a great tire.
I did not know that.
Super, super good, high silica compound. They heat up really fast. Don't use warmers on them if you go take them to the track. But yeah, buy these. They're good.
Wait, so I want to touch on that. Why would you not use warmers?
So, a lot of debate on that. If you take these to a track and you put them on warmers, you're just going to heat cycle them unnecessarily.
That makes sense.
Your first lap out, right? We're going to go easy no matter what. They're going to heat up to operating temperature. Tires have an optimal temperature to work in. These do not need to be on warmers because they do not need to be that hot. They don't need to be 280 degrees. They need to be 240, right, at max temp before they start, melting basically. We'll get into that when we start talking slicks because that's more of a slick profoundness that you're going to see. Power 6, good tire. Yes. Rip them.
So many tires.
We're just going to start piling up so you can take a photo and be like, this is what happens when we do tire videos.
Insane.
Okay.
So y'all stay tuned. We got a lot coming for you.
Michelin Power GP2. So what do you notice immediately, Dylan?
The siping.
The siping. There's less siping.
Way less.
Why do you think that is?
Because these are not meant to be ridden in the rain. These are just track tires, more oriented towards the track side.
Correct. Michelin calls this a 50-50 tire.
There we go.
50% street, 50% track.
You
could take these to a track day and have a great time on it. Or you can run them on the street. You won't get a lot of life out of them. So in orientation, as they're mounted, again, look like they're backwards.
Yeah, because they're opposite.
Because they're opposites. That's how siping works.
That's crazy.
So, same deal, super, super soft sidewalls, super soft sidewalls. A little firmer, but not nearly as much as you'd expect. I mean, you can pull these things almost all the way out. Woo. So, with that in mind, right, Power GP2s are sticky. Rear is still gonna be dual compound, front's still gonna be dual compound. Actually, I might be wrong on that. These might actually be a single compound front. They are.
We can cut that out.
Yeah, it's okay. They're single compounds.
Okay.
So the big thing you're gonna notice running these tires is, compared to like a Road 6 or even the Power 6, is they're going to have more available grip for a higher horsepower bike, right? But you're gonna chew up a rear in say 2,500, 3,000 miles. You're gonna cut your life down significantly because the compound is so soft, and as you tear up tires, and we can go take a look at my bikes. I just came back from a track day on a set of Pirellis, and you'll see that they got chewed up.
Yeah.
That's what happens on a 2-day track day. So again, these are going to be your softer compounds. They will wear quicker, but the amount of grip available when leaned over is going to be better than both the Road 6 and Power 6. There's not too much more to talk on these other than that they're incredible tires and they just work really, really well. These are going to be compared to like your SPV4 Super Corsa Pirellis, your Q5S Dunlops, your I don't want to say S23s because those are more of a Power 6 variant. But again, really, 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 really aggressive compound. They're gonna hold great, but less water siping and less usable in wet. Although we can talk about that too, because I did a whole track day on SPV4s in the wet with no problem. I was actually running faster in the wet than the dry.
That's crazy.
I like rain.
Yeah.
I'm Floridian.
I'll let you handle that.
Okay, Power GP2's done. Not too much to talk about on that because they're really similar to the 6s. They just got less siping. Let's talk Pirellis. So we talked about Michelin. You understand the sport bike Michelin lineup a bit better now, hopefully. Let's talk Pirelli. Pirelli goes a little deep. 3 major tires within the Pirelli lineup. You have your Supercorsa SPV4s, which is one of these guys here. You have your Rosso 4 Corsa here. And then you have Rosso 4s, which I don't have an example of here because I didn't grab one. If we go down, Rosso 4s, the sport touring tire is gonna be similar to a Road 6. You're gonna get less mileage out of it, but it's meant to do longevity riding. But I put Rosso 4s on everything. It's actually what I'm putting next on the BMW because I'm trying to save some money. Really, really good tires. I've actually sold quite a few to you viewers here through our tire program. They're just really, really solid. They're great tires. When we step down, right, to a Rosso Corsa 4, this is gonna be similar to your Power 6. Dual compound, really hard in the middle, really soft on the sides. This one doesn't make fun noises though. The big thing with Pirelli compared to Michelin's, right, is they're gonna be that in-between on sidewall stiffness, right? And I'm sure you guys are watching this going, why does he keep talking about the sidewall stiffness? Sidewall stiffness directly correlates to rear tire feel. When you roll that throttle on and you feel that tire in compression squat, you are feeling this sidewall deform and move. The Michelin squirm more, Pirelli squirm less, Dunlops barely squirm at all. When we go to a Corsa 4, right, the Rosso 4 Corsas, we are shooting for a tire in between that Rosso 4 and the SPV4. SPV4 being super sticky, where the Rosso 4 Corsa is going to be that in between, right? This is what I run on my Ducati Hyper Motard. It's actually a stock tire. I've actually come to love them. Very good wet performance, right? We see this siping going all the way out, right? When we can get concerned, right, for siping, we want to make sure that this goes out 80% of the tread, right? So we have 20% of the tread left here. 80% of that tread siping is there because when you're in the wet, you're not going to be leaning on, you're not going to touch your knee on the ground or anything in the wet. You want to make sure that this water has a place to evacuate. And that's why most of these manufacturers are going to provide that, right? When compared to, say, an SPV4 siping, right? You don't have that. You have about 70% siping out to the edge, right? Still going to evacuate water, but it's not going to be nearly as efficient as your Rosso 4 Corsas or your Rosso 4s. When we get into, say, the SPV4, right? The SPV4, and I didn't bring a rear tire out here because we're doing like 7 sets of these this week for track day. This tire, I've come to probably be my favorite personally. This is going to be a single compound front, dual compound rear, but the amount of stick, of grip that we have out of this tire is just incredible. The same compound that goes into the SPV4 is the same on their SC3 slick. Exactly the same compound. So that means you're getting track level quality compounds in a street tire, which more grip is always better. Grip is safety. When we get into the real meat of this, right, as this tire wears, we look into, let's see if we can find one real quick, tread wear indicators, okay? That guy there, when you get to these hyper sport tires, we get less meat out of them intrinsically because this thing is so sticky. If they pile up compound, we're just going to shred through them too fast. It's just not going to work too well. They're going to maintain too much heat, and we'll just get a better compound out of it. Now, I brought the Metzlers out at the same time because Metzler has a fun history with Pirelli. So this K3 is a set. It's actually a size for Supermotos. So we do have some Supermoto customers. Metzler is a sister company with Pirelli. They share R&D. So this K3, very similar to the SPV4, slightly older compound, but still a single compound tire. And when we talk about compounds, when we go to a multi-compound tire, say like the Rosso 4s, which use 5 compounds in their rear tire, which it gets super complicated. But it goes softer, less soft, hard, right? And they count that as 5 compounds all the way around the tire. Single compound tires are gonna last less than your standards, but the grip is gonna go way up. But these K3s actually come stock on S1000RRs. So these are the Racetech K3s. They are very good tires, but they are single compound. So that means you are going to get less mileage out of them. They're a radial tire. All these tires I'm gonna show you today are radial. We can go later into a video about bias versus radial and the effects that they cause and the feel that they give. A lot of your cruiser guys will be on bias tires, bias ply. Should clarify that. This is what happens, right? We get a single compound tire, we get high grip out of it, but lose the longevity. The more grip, less longevity. That's how it works. Again, every tire has rotation. So again, if you look at the K3s, this is the correct orientation. Your front tire is going to look backwards to the rear. Has to be that way. Make sense?
Wow. Yeah, I've never ridden on Metzler, so.
Yeah, they're good. They're super good. I have no problem with them. The M9RR is a good tire.
Yeah.
A little dated and compound now. The K3s are going to be similar to like the V3 Supercourses.
Okay.
That's going to be the similarity in compounds. Pirelli is known to use older compounds through the Metzler line and still offer V3 Supercourses, and they're good tires. A little cheaper, not significantly enough to not go to a V4. Just put the V4s on. Everyone loves them. They're genuinely awesome. Can't speak highly enough of it. And then let's talk Dunlop real fast. All right. Q5S. You're gonna go, Chris, why don't you have a Q5? Well, Q5 is a pure track day tire, and I think the Q5S does just good enough. And if you ask most of the guys who are running track days on Q5Ss, they will tell you flat out, Q5 front, Q5S rear, that's the money. I personally run Q5Ss on my RR. They are phenomenal, just phenomenal. Again, dual compound, so you'll have a harder center, softer sides. This tire does make the good noise. Have I touched them too much?
There we go.
The big thing again with Dunlops, as we talk sidewall stiffness everywhere. Super stiff.
Yeah.
Carbon fiber reinforced sidewalls. If you ask our techs, they absolutely hate installing them because they are difficult to install.
Damn, I did not know. That's sick.
Yeah, and they were US made for the longest time, and now they're shifting to Japan. So
interesting with the tariff.
Well, that was pre-tariff.
I was about to say.
Okay. So if you do want a set of Q5Ss, get them now to try, because the prices it has to go up because they're going to have to ship them in from Japan. But Dunlop has been an American supplier of tires for something like 80 plus years now. They've been doing it forever, and they just make a phenomenal tire. Their Road Smart series is like the sport touring variant. I touched on those just slightly with the Road 6s. Just great tires. When you go to a Q5, it's just going to be a single compound all the way around, front and rear, and they're going to wear really fast, but they wear really great. If you look at Kayla Yakov or PJ Jacobson, any of the Raw Ducati guys, a lot of them are running Dunlops on track days, and with great success. I mean, I think Kayla got down to like the 116s on her Ducati on a set of Q5s, which is just, I mean, that's slick pace, you know, all day long. And that goes to show that you don't need a race tire or a slick for track days. It is perfectly suitable to run a DOT. I personally don't run slicks. I only run DOTs. It's a little cheaper.
I did not know that, but yeah, I agree. And you have to swap them out every track day.
Well, that depends on your pace.
Slicks, but
That depends on your pace.
That's true. On to the slicks.
So I'm sure a lot of people want to know all about these. All right, slicks. Where's the sipes?
There's none.
Nothing, right? This is a single compound tire. Now Pirelli, which is kind of the slicks we all like and prefer. They're supplying Moto 2, Moto 3, as well as World Superbike. And those guys are running these tires. They're not running a special compound. They're not running anything unique. Like Michelin does an asymmetrical tire for MotoGP. These guys are off the shelf, which is just incredible. They have a spread of compounds. SE3s, SE2s, SE1s, SE0s. SE3 is going to be the harder of the compounds. Okay, SE2 is a little softer, SE1 softer, SE0 is even softer. Now, when we talk about what tire to run, right, it's mainly temperature based. And if you're getting to the point where you're running slicks, you really need to know your ambient temp, your track temps, your warmer temps, things like that. If you run this tire cold, you'll most likely crash, straight up. And I want to make a very quick point on guys who feel they must run slicks for track days. If you are a novice track day rider and you are running slicks, you have a chance of not being able to keep heat in the tire, which is going to increase the danger factor of you riding on that tire. If you cannot keep heat in a slick, you will crash. They will not work effectively. If you are running them on the street, it is the same deal. Street riding does not keep heat in tires. That is why your Michelins, your Pirellis, your Dunlops all have silica in them. That silica heats up and maintains heat much better for stop and go traffic, for your quick spirited runs, things like that. You cannot run a slick on the street safely. There is no person who can do it. Even Jixer Bra doing 200 miles an hour between states, you can't do it. It doesn't work that way. You are a danger to yourself and others if you run slicks on the street. Don't do it. So, how do I know when this tire is worn out?
Yeah, where are the wear bars at?
You got dots.
Nice.
See the dots?
Yeah.
When those dots are flush to the surface, that portion of the tire is worn out. Why did Pirelli do that? Because it's easier. It's easier to read. You look for the dot, you see where that depth is, and you have a basis, right? So if you have a track that's mainly lefts, right, that left side of the tire is going to wear out faster. Can you flip a slick? Can you flip it around on the rim?
I've heard of people doing that.
You can do it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. If you're racing, you won't do it.
Yeah.
But for your novice track day guys or intermediate advanced guys, yeah, that's a cost saving factor. You shouldn't do it, but you can get away with it. The big thing with slicks is they must be heated up correctly before going on track. Period. Most of your tire warmers, a lot of us here use Chicken Hawks. Even a single compound tire warmer is going to be just fine for something like this. It's going to get it to like that operating temp of like 285 degrees or so. And then you'll still get hotter than that on track. But that's where we kind of aim for. Again, when we talked about tire wall, sidewall stiffness, right? These are softer than a DOT Pirelli because it translates more information to the rider, right? As we roll onto that throttle, we can feel this tire squish, right? And increase that contact patch. And that tells us what it's doing. We can feel the squirm, we can feel the movement. Your slicks also still have a production date. So right here, this slick was made in the 30th week of 2024. Try to keep your tires within 3 to 4 years of age before throwing them on the bike. It's really the best advice I can give you. Ari Henning did a great video with Zach Kortz about taking 7-year-old RS11 Bridgestone tires on track. And they did okay, but you could tell that they were bad. Definitely not up to what they should be. 70% of optimal performance. When you go for a tire that you need 100% performance out of,
Yep.
you gotta wager that bet. So I know Dylan had some viewer questions from Instagram.
So
I feel like that's a good time to start this now that I've gone through the basics of everything. And guys, you have, full access to my social media.
Yep. Lizard Brain Racing. Yeah.
Yep.
If you have any questions or need
Feel
anything.
free. We are running a tire promo here through the shop. Just reach out, 25% off all DOTs. Can't do them on slicks, unfortunately, because I don't make money on slicks. If someone is making money on slicks, then probably. Yeah, let's take some viewer questions and let's hopefully get some answers for you people.
Let's do it.
Bro, you got your shoes on?
Bro, my feet from
Dude,
the accident,
you're
man,
leaving
still messed
sweat
up.
marks, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm sweating, boy. Sweaty feet. All right, hold on. Let me put you guys on a tripod real quick, and then we can ask these questions. All right, so question number 1 was asked by Snoop's Garage. It is, what is your preferred PSI, and how did you find that happy medium? How do you find perfect tire pressure?
So, there's no such thing. Now, when you're running slicks, there's absolutely a range in which the Pirelli or Michelin or Metzler will give you to stay between. When we talk about street pressures, I want to be very clear, your manufactured tire pressure is perfectly suitable. There's no reason to run more or less. When we talk about how we find that tire pressure that we're happy with, we need to talk about the sliding scale that is tire pressure. So if you have 2 goalposts, right? One end is grip, the other is longevity. The lower you put your tire pressure, the more grip you'll get, but the less longevity you'll get. When we are in this battle between the two, right? Where is the medium? Well, the medium is your wallet, truly.
Yeah, well, that makes
How
sense.
quickly do you want to burn up your tire, or how much do you want to save it? And then on top of that, right, if we're talking about touring bikes, because I know some of you guys do touring, which is great, you should be raising the rear tire pressure a little bit with a passenger and luggage, right? You want that tire to deform less or deflect less. For your canyon carvers out there, there truly is no hard benefit to going to track pressures on street. Again, when we decrease tire pressure and we get more grip, you ultimately are putting a tire outside of its optimal zone to be ran in. I'm a big believer personally of 36 to 38 PSI in a rear tire. It's about 4 to 6 PSI below recommended pressure for, say, the S1000RR. I will run that on basically every bike. The reason I've gone that way is because I do get a little more grip out of it, but I don't want the bike to feel sluggish. If you do lower the pressures too much, you lose that form in the tire, right? You kind of lose the roundedness of it, and you will have to move that bike harder side to side to get the optimal use out of it. There truly is no best pressure. Set it to manufacturer pressure. Lower it if you want a little more grip. If you feel it slipping, 9 out of 10 times, it's just poor application of throttle. Yeah, well, Dunlop or Pirellis, which is better for road use? What are you doing with them?
ODT.
Like I said already, Q5S is like my go-to tire on the S1000RR because I like the way it feels. There's less tire deflection when I'm coming in first thing in the morning and I'm groggy and I'm not really on my A game while riding my RR. The tire doesn't give me as much. It'll still grip like hell. It heats up really fast because of the silica compound inside of it. But Pirelli has such a good range of tire options. There really is no better option. Get what set makes the most sense for your wallet at that time. If you are riding a lot in the wet, right, go throw a Rosso 4 on there. Be happy. There's nothing really to go from there. Get whatever you want. Tire technology is so damn good nowadays. If you're running one of the big threes, you're gonna be just fine. Big threes being Dunlop, Pirelli, and Michelin. You're really not gonna be put out on any of them.
Just taking screenshots here. Thank you, Slow DT, for that. So it's from It's Chuko. Can you explain the tire carcasses of the S22, S23 versus the Q5S relevant to aggressive street riding?
So the S22 and S23s are a sport touring sport tire. They kind of bridge a gap there, where the Q5S is a very aggressive street oriented tire. Going back to the YCRS guys, again, Champ U, do it. They exclusively run S23s and S22s on track, exclusively. And those boys make the fast guys look like they're slow on DOT, Bridgestone, S22s and S23s. They're good. If you're specifically going out to do a track day, either of them will work just fine. Again, what's your budget? That's really what it comes down to. Yeah. We don't stock a lot of Bridgestones here. My customer base is just not super stoked on them. I've tried to change that a little bit, but you know, customers get what they want. Period. Either going to be just fine for a track day as long as you stick within that optimal tire pressure of what the manufacturer recommends.
And we'll do one more question.
Just one?
You want to do a couple more?
We can.
All right.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Different
Rhode Island meet? Hell yeah. State to state, bro. And to Rhode Island back. 6 minutes. 6 miles, 6 minutes. You can do it.
ZX10 Nick asked, do I need to buy a new tire when the wires show or when the center starts to get flat?
If you got wires showing on your tire, they should have replaced a long time ago.
It's too late.
So earlier in the video, and whoever's editing this, cut back to that, I show off the tire wear indicator. Inside the siping of your tires is going to be this tiny little nub that sticks up from the very bottom of the tread. That is your indicator on when to change your tires. I promise you, you will get those flush to the surface before wire is shown. Now, manufacturers will also say that you should replace them while 1 millimeter of tread remains above your tread wear indicator. And they are so right, not because they want to sell more tires, because once you hit that 1 millimeter spot, your tread is no longer effective. If you get caught in the rain and your tire is worn out and you are past that tread wear indicator, what's gonna happen? You're gonna have less grip, you're gonna have more problems in the wet. There is a reason they say it. There's a reason why any single person here will tell you we spend more on tires than anything else, because we don't want to crash, we don't get hurt. We need to run this correctly.
Yeah,
you know,
I
it's
agree.
so critical. You know, you only have 2 tires connecting you to the road. Why chance this?
Yeah.
I see more guys running with completely bald DOTs and cord showing, and it's truthfully dumb. If you cannot afford a rear tire or even a front tire, you do not need to be riding your motorcycle. Save up the money. Seriously.
It's not worth
Eat
it.
ramen for a week, something.
Yeah, if you go down and then now you got to fix your bike, replace the tires and gear or whatever, and then God forbid any hospital stuff just because you're running a bald tire because you're trying to get some extra miles out of it, just to make sense or save some money, it's just silly.
It's downright stupid. Don't do it, please. So I was just at Barber for a whole weekend. The day we went to the museum on that Friday, there was a bunch of bikes out front, a bunch. I would say 80% of them were at the wear bars or below on their front tire.
Oh, wow. They
Now,
probably have no idea.
I don't know why. I don't know what the situation was. Don't be those people, please. We love you here. We sell tires so damn cheap. It's incredible.
Yep.
There's just no reason. There's no reason. If you got a $1,200 smartphone in your pocket, there's no reason why you can't afford a $400 set of tires. Period. You know, something else we can talk on real quick that I see a lot of people give crap for, and it's kind of a funny thing at some point. Chicken strips.
Yep.
Man, I love me a chicken strip. You can look at me and know I like me some chicken strips, right?
Too,
you ever been to Cane's?
So.
Cane's is good. Huey Magoo's down the street.
Chick-fil-A's got the, actually.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A changed the recipe, bro. They're garbage now.
Dang.
So chicken strips. I want to be very, very clear on chicken strips. If anyone gives you any crap outside of a friendly poke, stop listening to them immediately. Shame them for even bringing it up. We do not call them chicken strips here. It's an insurance policy. Now you say, Chris, what? How is that an insurance policy? I pay my premium to Allstate every month. The amount of chicken strip you have left is how much lean in those tires you have to give. If you enter a corner and you're at 30% of lean and suddenly there is something in your way and you need to come out.
We show them this, demonstrate this.
I mean, we'll go to my track bike and I'll show you.
Yeah.
So if you are using, say, a finger's width, right, and you have this available, if you go into a corner and you're at, say, 30 degrees of lean, and you go, oh crap, there's something on the right side, I need to tighten this line up. You have more to go. You're not limited. It's an insurance policy. It's a safety net.
And that's why you get your body off the bike.
We can talk body position too.
Yeah,
that's a whole other discussion.
I want to say we're gonna be here all day. I know this video is already super long.
Yeah,
we'll spare it for another day.
But please, I would urge you to not get caught up in the chicken strip discussion. If someone does give you any gripe about it, tell them they don't know what they're talking about and stop talking to them.
Yeah.
It's just as easy as that. It's not worth the conversation. They don't know what they're talking about.
You don't want to be using.
This is not an ego contest.
Especially not on the streets. This doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
I know it's a super long video. Let me wipe this camera off, bro. So right now we are running, or Motos is running 25% off tires. So if you need anything, hit Chris up. Huge thank you to him for doing this video. If you have any other questions or any other topics you want to cover, tires, gear, whatever. I know we want to do a helmet video kind of like this, just really breaking it down and being like raw clips so you guys can actually really learn. I think it's a series I want to do, so if you have any suggestions or tips or anything like that, please let us know. Chris, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I do. Stop being stupid on the street. Maybe I'm getting on a soapbox here.
Yeah.
In the Tampa Bay area, we lose 2 to 3 riders a week in the summer. I really need you guys to stop. We're losing riders left and right. It's not cool. It's a lot of young guys, a lot of young ladies who are going out there doing stupid shit. Stop it. Keep yourself in check. Don't let your egos feed the throttle. And be respectful of the machine, the road. Every single thing you do out there is a reflection on all of us. And I am no saint. And I think everyone here can agree to that. I am the last person to be preaching this. But even I don't have road incidents because I am safe and conscious of my surroundings. There's a time and a place. Come to a track day. If you guys come to a track day with me, I will give you my full attention all day long. I will show you the lines. I will show you how to get this bike to where you need to be, and we'll make a great day of it. But I need you guys to really slow down on the street and to really be conscious, not only yourself, but of others.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's honestly nothing else to say besides that. He just dropped the mic. So yeah, we're doing these videos for you guys to learn, and like you said, safety, #1 always, man. So huge thank you to Chris for doing this. As always, guys, work hard, be consistent, do anything you want in life. Catch y'all in the next one. We're out. Peace.